Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Marisa Johnson, and this is day 15 of my 30-day challenge of showing up for myself, staying consistent, and letting this space be a space for honesty, growth, and grace, y'all. This is the Grace Space Podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that hasn't always felt good, but it's definitely necessary in this space of my life, and that is saying no. If I'm being honest, saying no has been a very difficult and uncomfortable thing for me as I've grown, especially as a woman, a mom, a wife, someone who juggles multiple roles in her everyday. I feel like saying yes came from more of like an obligation, guilt, fear of disappointing people, fear of missing out, fear of just like losing. And honestly, sometimes just to avoid conflict, like I might as well just do it instead of, getting into an argument. But that yes was always coming from the expense of giving something up of myself, my peace, my time, boundaries. And that doesn't always necessarily feel good, especially when, you're in the space of trying to grow, when you already feel like you're spread thin. If you feel like you just don't have anything to give, saying yes could be more of a burden than truly authentically wanting to help or do something for someone, which I always feel like you should not do out of that space in your life. Saying no could be hard. You worry what people think of you. You wonder if you're being harsh, but the question is, it's not fair to make your decisions based on projecting like that energy off of someone else. And the thing I'm learning is every time I say no to something that drains me, I'm actually saying yes to something that fills me up. And what did we say? You can't fill someone else's cup if your cup isn't filled. So definitely something to take into account when you're saying no. I think at work, especially being in corporate and spaces, you feel like maybe this is like an amazing opportunity, so you want to say yes to everything. But I've had to learn that protecting my time is key. I have children, they have schedules. And just because I can do something doesn't mean I have to do something right then and there. I used to overextend myself to just try to prove I was capable. And now I'm just like, if someone wants to get rid of you, they're going to get rid of you. If someone wants to replace you, they're going to replace you. And if you don't have the capacity, you just don't have the capacity. Is this mine to carry is something that I ask myself, like, can this wait? And most of the time is yes. In relationships, this one has been the hardest sometimes because I feel like walking away from dynamics where I am overthinking, undervalued. And I'll say this is more so like when I was younger, not now. But when I'm just like overly extending myself, I've had to, if someone's not emotionally available for me, and I'm just continually being available for them, like making those decisions to walk away and say no, I don't deal with that as much anymore. But I can imagine, in them streets, it could be like that, giving to someone who isn't necessarily giving to you and having to really look at yourself like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this anymore. In motherhood, right? With my kids, I've had to say no. Birthday parties. I don't want to go to birthday parties every weekend. So sometimes I have to say no. Just teaching them that, I have boundaries as well. And that's a part of raising emotionally healthy kids. Like everything is not yes, girls. Everything doesn't have to be a yes. And when I say no, that doesn't mean you have to have a whole breakdown, right? So putting boundaries around them as well. And just in my personal life, just saying no to rushing. Saying no to perfection, right? Like being a people pleaser, that is a trauma response. And I just am getting to this point in my life where it's like, hey, if it's not working, it's not working. If it's not aligned, it's not aligned, and it is what it is. So just being okay with yourself. But let's be real, right? Saying no doesn't always feel empowering at first. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels like a loss. But what I'm learning is that boundaries are the highest form of self-respect. And the more I honor myself, the more I teach others how to honor me, how to respect me, how to show up when they're in my presence. That creates a better relationship, right? So if you're struggling with saying no right now, I see you. I've been there. I'm still in that process, but I feel like I'm getting a lot farther with this no. But I promise it gets easier, and your peace is worth protecting. And I will say, a lot of people throw these buzzwords around like my peace, my peace, my peace. I'm not saying in a way where you need to be alone, where you need to, isolate yourself. It's like, how do you just show up in environments as yourself and in a place where you want to be reciprocated? You want people to want to be around you, want to like you. Everyone wants to be liked, but where you feel like it's mutual, where you feel like I'm giving what I'm getting, but where you don't have to overthink as well. As you grow and heal, I'm learning that not everybody wants to do that. And so you can make people uncomfortable by your ideas of what it looks like to progress in your life. So that's just my nugget for today. That's my check-in for day 15. I'm learning that no is a full sentence. I don't have to explain myself after no, and I don't owe anyone else any explanation when it comes to protecting this peace. And if you needed that reminder today, your boundaries are valid. You don't have, to earn your rest. Resting is a gift. And you don't have to prove your worth to anybody. And I say that as someone that has felt like they've had to prove themselves their entire life. You can say no and still be very kind and loving and whole. So that's it for me today. This is The Grace Space, a space for healing, growth, and alignment. You are capable, you are worthy, you are already enough. Keep going, and I will see you tomorrow.